Now, welcome. This is episode 127 of Keeping It Real. I'm your host, Kadis. Am I good? Is the sound mic'd up? All right, we got to go ahead from the sound systems manager. It's a new hire, good guy, and we're gonna just go ahead, jump right into it, and get going. Got some water today. Quick up. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. You know, here comes another hour. Here comes another hour. I mean, what are we doing here? Has anyone ever stopped to think about what are we even doing here? Like, what are we doing here? We just hit 700 subscribers, but that's a bit detached from Keeping It Real as a show because these subscribers, they come from my shorts, my YouTube shorts. They don't come from Keeping It Real. And, you know, you can't complain about success, right? It's 700 subscribers. Like, good job, Jack, you know? I got a headache. Because I just have a headache. Welcome to my internet show. I think I take one thing for granted, and that is the amount of mental solitude that a disciplinary constant like YouTube provides for me. I think lately, these past couple days, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I have been tempted by the hand of, you can just do it later, or it's okay if you miss this. I think that is a very slippery slope, and the whole reason I must remind myself that I have been chasing these high highs, right? Even when I know that the low lows follow, is because I think I have found that if you stay still, you're destined to fail. There was never a point at I don't need to talk about like my social media journey. I feel like I've been talking about that a lot too much, you know? What do I need to talk about? I have no idea. I actually have no idea. I walked to work today. It's an hour and a half. I walked there and I walked home. Last night in the setup for this show, the door must have been left open for enough time for the cat to escape. Thank God they found the cat. I was convinced they weren't going to find the cat. And my walk home was an hour and a half long. I was just thinking about how like it's totally my fault that the cat got out. And like you know how you get like that and you're just like, I don't fucking do anything right. And you're like, lately for me, it's been like, I've been working so hard, but like nothing's happening. But stuff is definitely happening. And it's like, part of the hard work is the ignorance to all the stuff that's happening, you know, because you're focused on what you're doing and you're not focused on making yourself feel better. You're focused on succeeding in the task that you have taken. So it's like, I'm not gonna, you know, like there's not that time of that day where like I say, it's okay, you know, I'll just DoorDash McDonald's, or it's okay, you know, I've been working really hard, I'll just watch 2 movies back to back. Like, I don't really get that anymore. And it's sad because I feel like I'm losing, but it's just a feeling. And you got to understand that like feelings can sometimes mislead you and you have to push towards, you know. So I've had a particular thing on my mind for a particular amount of time, and I've just been letting it sit up there and stay. That's not very keeping it real of me. You know, we've talked about everything on this show. We've talked about, I've aired out all my dirty laundry, all of it that I could possibly air out. I've told you all the stories. I've said all the things. And it's very I feel like it's very it's very off-brand for me to have something up here that I'm not immediately spewing out here. But that's the thing, there's no brand here yet, like you hear all the time of people that have gone through life and did college and lived through their 20s. They always like have this thing that they say where it's like, dude, you're not going to know anything until like you're 30 or whatever. And it's like, I believe that. Like, I believe that when I finally get to 30, I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I totally believe that. I like see it coming. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm sure that this feeling of having no idea what I'm doing is going to last for forever. But I just, like, the idea behind this YouTube stuff and social media and video logging and putting myself out there consistently and relentlessly is, wouldn't it be cool if, like, I had this as a tool to use once I finally, had that direction or had that, like, I'm 30 now, And when you think of tools, everyone wants, like, the Swiss Army knife. But no one fucking uses a Swiss Army knife. You ever seen somebody with a Swiss Army knife that they actually use? Like, what's a tool that everyone uses? The iPhone. Everyone uses their iPhone. So when you think about, like, your career and your life and all the things that you could ever hope to achieve and all the things that you could ever be privileged enough to chase after, there's lots of stuff going around, right? And it's always about, like, the presence of time and how you yourself might change your mind as the years goes by. So how do you know what to start working towards now if you don't even know who you're going to be then? And so you kind of get a little bit vague with it, and you kind of want to step back and become a bit abstract with the whole process of what am I doing right now? And in that abstract light, I think to myself, okay, what are some tools that I could start working towards? Well, a big tool I think that I could begin to construct, I'm not saying I'm going to know how I'm supposed to use this tool if I ever find out that I have it in my hands, but I am saying that, like, I'm saying a couple things. The first of which is probably that I've designated that I've been like, yo, I got, like, I don't know. This guy just walked down and, like, we made eye contact and I said what's up to him. This thing kind of threw me off. But what I'm saying here is, like, I think being well known and documented is not something that everyone can say that they are. And those that can say that they are, I don't know, because I'm not well known and documented yet. But I have an idea and a belief that if one day I can say that I am, then there will be, like, I don't know, doors that open, and it will become like my like brand or my character, my person, my being, me as a human will become like its own tool, disconnected from myself. Like I know that this is keeping it real, and I know that we've kept it really real sometimes, and I've told you things that made me uncomfortable and things that make my skin crawl and stuff that I wouldn't even tell my own parents, but they literally watch this show, and like I've pushed and pushed and pushed, and I am grateful, to me for pushing, because here I am, I'm taking that part of me that wants to push with me, but I'm leaving the part of me that is pushing on, I don't know, vulnerability, honesty, transparency, maybe. Transparency. Because I don't think that actually is doing that much good. I think, I might come back tomorrow and be like, actually scrap that. Let me tell you what's really going on. But lately, I've been feeling strongly about the direction I've been headed in, and that is of, we have this hour long. It's still called Keeping It Real, but the words that I fill the episodes with aren't, I'm not telling you what color my nutsack is, like, and it's like, maybe one day I'll throw it in. Today it's looking awfully purple, but it's like, there's not, the focus when I turn the camera on is not to dig down to that level. It's not to be like, this is my deepest, darkest worries and concerns, and what do I think about them, or what do I want to say next about them? Like, because I guess maybe at one point in the not so distant past, I thought that was the most I could give. Like, being that way and pushing in that direction was the way that I could push the most, if you follow me. And that's what you want to do, right? You want to find that avenue. Like, if what you want in your life is to make as most money as absolutely possible, that's great. Where you would start is probably, looking at avenues and different sort of trajectories that you could, experiment with that might set you up for realities in which you have the most options or the greatest chance of success, and I'm feeling like I explored a bit what it's like for me to tell you that I almost just said something crazy, but like, yeah, there wasn't a place for that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of, and I'm now thinking about, okay, well, we said, all right, let's ease off on this direction. So what does the new direction look like? And that's the truth. I have no idea. I don't know. I just know that currently it feels correct to stop walking that way. So now we're walking this way. Oh, wait, did I point this way? This way. So now we're walking this way, and who knows what this way will like show itself as. Maybe in 100 more episodes, I'll realize that this podcast has turned into this, and I think I want to make it, stop walking that direction and make it that. And I think that's good. Matter of fact, actually, I think that these distinctions in this conversation is ironically a big distraction from the fact that I continue to walk down the avenue of the video. Like, the constant is the video. I might not be saying the same things and feeling the same ways on the camera, but the camera always still turns on and records. Now, that's scary to think of it like that, because then you think, well, what if one day I decide that the camera is not really where I want to keep, the camera is not necessarily the path that I want to keep walking. I hope it doesn't come to that, because I hope that I could have the sense to understand how much effort I put into this, and the belief that I had in myself the very first time I pressed the record button, and not even just the belief, but the complete feeling, the euphoric feeling, it was like a high, it was like I had this camera and I had this recording and I had this video that I posted, and it was like, I mean, you don't get to be like, I don't know. That's kind of the thing, y'all. You have to understand. I think what I'm doing here is a bit dangerous, because I'm romanticizing an event in my past. And it's not the camera, not the video that I made. It's more of the person that I was at the time. And you can romanticize that person all you want, but he's never coming back. And it's tough, but you're always going to get older, and that's just a younger version of yourself. You know, maybe at some baseline, you're romanticizing youth, which is, trust me, really something to romanticize. Everyone wishes they were younger. And it is the duty and the obligation of you to not romanticize this person, but rather to understand that while, yes, it'd be different for you to start something new and stop something old, you could still do it the best that you possibly can, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to think, it's like if you ever break up with, there's ever a girl in your past and you think back and you're like, how could I ever let those times go? Like, we were so in love and like, it was all so amazing. How could I let that slip out of my hands? Dude, what do you mean, how could you let it slip out of your hands? Like, if it's meant to be, it's going to be. And when you think back and you have these rosy memories of the times that you had, you're not really thinking about like this girl or even the times that you had. You're thinking about the person that you were. And that just comes down to, you used to be younger. You used to have less years on the calendar, less hair on your body, less wrinkles on your skin, and honestly, less worries. And of course you're going to wonder why you let that slip out of your hands. It's not your hands, you know? It's not in your hands. It's like, you don't get to let that slip out of your hands. You know, it's like, why? It's just very human. And I don't know. I feel like I've gotten very good recently at really living in the moment. You know, breathe and think in what is actually really happening in your world right now. I think, really, seriously. And that's good. That's good, bro. That's good. It's raining out here. Something about Mayflowers and spring showers, and the camera is safe underneath the roof. The roof. This is a good little setup I have here. Very glad that cat got found. Very, very glad that cat got found. I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah. What is keeping it real? What does this look like? Who am I? What's going on? I might swerve in that corner, whoa, whoa. Bitch, hold on tight and creeping them bitches, let it shit go. And I heard that she wanna show, whoa, me where she be. I'm trying to fucking with it, show me some more. We got a very excited coming up a 3-hour podcast. Yesterday's episode did very, very well in a very short amount of time. It was probably my mom and Pete, I would have guessed, just watching it right when it came out. But like, that's the kind of thing that is necessary. Those 2 views are necessary. If those views don't happen, if my mom doesn't watch it right when it comes out, and whoever else is watching these, I don't know who you are, but if like you guys both for whatever reason don't watch the episode, then it just flops miserably. I'll check the analytics a week after I post the episode, and it just doesn't even, these episodes will go by and not a single person will have watched it all the way through. And I'm not complaining. I'm not whining. I'm just kind of exploring. We had, I thought that I should mention this to you guys because this is like the kind of thing that I see, but you don't see, but I feel like we're becoming like a community, you, me, and my mind. And so I feel like I should make public service announcements, and like this is our meeting time, so I should share with the masses like what's happening. And what's happening is 2 weeks ago, we had a video outperform all the others by about 10, I think. No, more like 4. And that video, hold your breath, was one that I filmed in Charlotte. I think it was probably picked up from the algorithm quicker than not, because at the time of posting, I was involved with a girl and I was being very open about it on the internet. And I feel like whether it was her friends, or who knows, I think that maybe like it was to do with like my mom would watch it, then maybe like a buddy would watch it, and then someone that's a regular listener might tune in, and then like the extra little push of like that girl and maybe a friend of hers, and then that's enough for YouTube to be like, okay, our dials are like indicating that this episode is an outlier when it comes to this this guy's happenings, this guy's reach normal bandwidth. So let's just push it to a bit more people than we normally want, and see if it's just like by chance or like truly by design. And like that's, I think, what happened. That's what happened. And that video is at 150 views now. I think it gained me 2 subscribers. 700 subscribers. If you're watching this and you did just recently subscribe, and you subscribed because of keeping it real, and you're listening to this, I think Lauren, you commented and said you were the 700th subscriber. Hello, welcome. I kind of feel weird because like I've been being me for so long on here, but now you've just joined. So like, what do I even say? Like, what do I say? Like, what's up? We're coming at 1,000. What should I do when what should happen when I get to 1,000? Should I? I don't know. 1,000 subscribers. What if I walked 100 miles for 1,000 subscribers? You can do about 10 miles a day, I think. Maybe a little bit more. And I think that'd be really awesome if for 10 days I just cranked out 100 miles. I could preemptively pre-record Keeping It Real episodes, something that I have been wanting to dip my toe into, as I have a trip planned with my buddies in which I haven't saved any money for, and I'm starting to get really stressed out about. My job doesn't pay me enough, and I wanted to buy this motorcycle. And I know you're thinking, how can you have so little money and stress about money, and then you want to buy a motorcycle? Listen, it's $500. It comes from my roommate's brother, whomst I think has taken a liking to me, which is how do I even begin to say, unfathomable. And I love motorcycles, and I would love to own a bike that he bought and got running himself. I don't know how else to say that, I don't know how else to say that. So I told him I'd buy it. And it'd be the cheapest bike I ever owned, the oldest bike I ever owned. And honestly, and closer than I think I've ever been to my dream bike. We had the 2023 Goldwing, and that thing was the best bike I ever owned by far. But I think this Goldwing may just be closer in year to the year that I actually want than that one was. I think my dream Goldwing is like a 2003, the year I was born. And I don't know, I haven't actually even seen what that year looks like. But I think that's right. And I had a 2023, that's 20 years. And this Goldwing that I want to buy is 1984. So 16, 19. Yeah, closer by 1 year. So, And it's like, weirdly enough, like, it's so silly because I know that every single day that I don't take control of my finances and start to like plan for my future, I'm hurting myself. But like, when this bike came up and the price is so low, and I'm just like, dude, like, I really deserve this motorcycle. Like, I really deserve this motorcycle. I deserve to try and take this motorcycle back from Asheville to Raleigh. It probably won't make it. I'm going to be honest with you. He's confident in it. He cleaned out the carburetors, got the, he rebuilt the motor. And he says that it will make it from Asheville to Raleigh no problem. He's only ridden it once. I think it scares him. It's too heavy for him. And it also is like his first time riding a motorcycle ever. So I can understand that. But I don't know. I've never actually had a machine kind of conk out on me like that. And I don't know. Like, I would love to bring some camping stuff and just try to see if I can make it back just little by little. I wouldn't want to push it too many hours in one day. Maybe just like 2 hours of road time a day. Well, then you'd get to Asheville in 2 days. But you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't. It's hard for me to say out loud, I feel like, because I don't know if it's true or not. And I don't want to say anything that's not true, especially something like this. But I really feel like I really deserve this. I really do. I feel like I really, truly, and honestly deserve a motorcycle. And I deserve all the excitement that it brings, and like the joy and wonder, and like, oh, it's like its own little drug, and like I just get to stare at it and turn the key and ride it, and ride next to people on the highway that are on bikes, and right next to giant semi trucks, and get them to honk their horn and stop at rest stops and have people comment on my bike, and just sit and eat a sandwich while I'm looking at my bike. I really think that I deserve it. And I don't know if I'm going to think that tomorrow, the next day, in a week. Looking back, say I do all this, like I say I'm going to do. Say I get the bike and I do the thing. I don't know, in 5 years' time when I look back on that, will I think like, oh, I should have done that, or should I not? I don't know. So I feel like kind of scared saying that to the camera, right? Because I'm like, I wonder what you're going to think of me when I'm saying this. Like, you've heard about all the struggle that I have, and how long the road is that I must walk to get to the place where I want to be. Yet I'm telling you, hey, I want to take a detour. You might be thinking like, this is stupid, but listen, man, I will not begin to reason to you why. It's just something that I feel like I deserve. And that's that. We shook hands on it. I told him I'd be coming to get the bike at the end of June, and when we take our trip to Colorado, and I completely plan on doing just that. And so, on the topic of, I should probably do a little bit of effort research towards getting his phone number. That'd be nice. That'd be a good idea. If I have my phone on me right now, I'd text his brother, whomst is now my roommate. Won't be for very long. That's something we should talk about. In a couple days, these guys, gone. In a couple days, hopefully, we'll be filming this in the morning time or the daytime, whatever time, it won't matter. This is the front door of my apartment right here. And, right now it doesn't matter because it's very late at night and no one's going to be coming and going. But, like, at a time when they were, and, it didn't matter when they were. People would just squeeze past the mic and it wouldn't matter. Like, you've seen that in previous episodes. But it's like, it's not really what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at is I'm going to be alone. And that probably means something different to you than it does to me. But I have a very detailed and dotted history with being alone. I think one of the very first times... Okay, so here's my journey of being alone. Where do I want to start? I think... being alone. We could start here, but I've talked about that a lot. So maybe I want to start like here. Okay, so I'm 16 and lucky enough to have my parents get me a car. Crazy. I just got my license. Why do I have a car? This is insane. And so this car's in the driveway, and, I'm all about my texting and my friends and my social status. And I get an invite to a lake outing with a friend group. And, somehow, I don't know. My parents are like, yeah, you can take your car and you can go solo. So then I'm driving to there. I think it's like somewhere like Lake Norman from Charlotte. It's like a 45-minute drive. And it's like, here I am. I could do whatever I want. I'm alone. But then, I got there and I wasn't alone anymore. I got there and I was not alone anymore. Like, there's all the friends and people were there and constantly, like, all that. Another time I remember being alone was when a neighbor on the street that we lived on reached out to, like, my mom probably and asked if I could house sit. To which my mom asked me and I said, sure. Wheels starting to turn in my head. And I get there and like I'm in the liquor cabinet and like, I had weed that I had bought because I was so excited to be alone. I was going to smoke a ton of weed and get really drunk. And that was another time where I was alone, and I don't know. I just realized that, like, what does all this matter if I'm alone? And the drinking and the smoking when you're alone turns into, like, I want to forget that I even really exist right now. It's hard to explain to you, but it's like you want to do your best to forget that you're even a real person, and that's very damaging. It's very damaging. Fast forward to a time in which I was working at the car wash and I was put on break. This is at a particular time when not only was I smoking weed, but I was smoking a lot of weed. And on my break, I took my car and I parked it behind this abandoned under construction building where no one was, down the street from my job, because the break was only 30 minutes. Now, I probably took about an hour on my break, because I just got so unbelievably stoned in such a quick time. I mean, the way that we used to get high back in Charlotte was with a plastic water bottle with a few holes poked in the bottom. Now, you don't need to put holes. You can just cut the bottom off the bottle entirely, but we like to poke holes. Near the end of my journey, I figured you'd only need one hole, and you could actually control, based on how much water was in there and how tight your piece was, the flow of the water based on how big you let the lighter hole in the plastic for to make the hole. It was very science. Anyone that gets high every day can tell you, like, it's very much a science. You got to find that pocket. Anyway, these things, I'm pretty sure, like, every time you would hit a hit off of a gravity bong, like, You'd get a little bit of melted plastic mixed with a little bit of melted chrome plating from the wrench socket that you were using as a bowl, and a lot of bit of butane from the lighter, which would get sucked in, trapped, and not filtered whatsoever. When you have a bong, you get a lot of that stuff filtered through the water. The butane disperses when it is passed through that water. And some people don't even, some people they use wicks. They don't even use lighters to smoke because they don't even, the butane is a big factor, right? And you trap all that stuff in there, and it's really hot when you hold a water bottle. It's really hot air. And you take the cap off the bottle, and you hold it in. And it burns your throat and your lungs. But if you do it a lot, you can kind of push past that burning feeling. Kind of like how drinking tastes like glue, but if you do it a lot, you can get past that gluey, disgusting taste. And even, liquor will burn. You can get past that burn. It's just, all in the nature of getting fucking obliterated. And I just took like 20 of those back to back, like 2 different days in a row. And I remember how alone I felt back there. Super alone. And, I ditched weed and I ditched drinking. But the alone, it hits just as hard. It hits just as hard. Because it's continued to happen, throughout the years that I've moved to Raleigh, the places that I've been living at, with the guys I've been living with, they'll go home much more frequently than I do. And that has left me alone. And sometimes, I'm drinking. Sometimes I'm chugging caffeine, taking kratom pills, binging fast food, a combination of all of them. If you look 2 years ago, maybe I'm also smoking weed mixed in there. And it's like, or maybe I'm doing none of it, and it doesn't matter. It's just being alone is actually torture. It is torture. So every time these things come up, and this is a big one, right? Because this is the summer we're talking about. It's actually terrifying. It's terrifying. Because I don't know, I want to make a callback to when I was driving in that car to that lake house, right? And I feel like maybe it hit so hard then because I was so genuinely excited and, eager to be given that responsibility. Like, okay, you can be alone. And then there I was on the road, and I was like, holy shit, like, there's no one here with me. This feels not like I thought it would. I feel lonely. And I don't know, maybe it was like the hype up to that, I don't know what it was. Like that you've also got, the times where these guys go out of town, like it's easy for me to start to say things like, oh, when they leave, I'm going to get this in order, do this, keep this clean, and act like this. And then I can start to sort of hype myself up and get excited around all those things that I said. And it never ends up happening, Sometimes I can, push and get some of it done, and, but I'm always scrambling to clean up right before they come home, if that. And I wonder if anyone else is like this. I mean, I feel like a lot of people operate but it's, just because you're clean and you get your work done doesn't mean that you're not suffering from being alone. I think it just shows itself differently in different people. And I don't, I got no idea what's going on. I got no idea what's going on. I'm trying to make it work. Trying to, and I always say this. What I'm about to say, I always say it every time. I feel like it feels like going into this summer and this period of loneliness, I'm best equipped. I'm most fit to handle this. I have the most things in my life that could do the most good that I've ever had going into any period like this ever. I have a job with coworkers and people, community. I have a hobby, a passion, this YouTube thing. And I have goals and expectations. I don't have, any thoughts that like, oh, once they leave, I'm just going to sort of let everything go. I'm not thinking that. I don't want to do that. And that's a fantastic start. I got to say, it's a fantastic start. But it's like it always feels like I'm telling myself these things before they leave and before I'm lonely. Like it always feels like I'm always saying this stuff. Like I'm always like, okay, but this time I know this and I know this and I have goals. It feels like I said shit every time. And every time it's like day by day I get beaten down with a stick. And I'm just so goddamn solo. And I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to do it. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just watching this YouTube short about this shit poisons your mind, But it grabbed my attention because all the comments were saying, it was just this thing about like how if a girl likes you, then she'll make it extremely obvious, if not let you know literally. And all the comments are like guys and girls, just these accounts, these people, you have to assume they're not robots. I don't fucking even know anymore. And they're saying like, gentlemen, like you gotta, choose the girl that loves you over the one, like it's like, and I think about like all the relationships that like I know about and then I start to kind of freak out and worry. Like, when's the next time a girl is going to choose to love me? Like, I'm freaking out. Like, it's not that big of a deal, And it's not that big of a deal. And like the words on the internet, while they might be this and they might be that, what's really going on is up here with my mind. Like, you should never start a thought process like this with I saw an Instagram reel or YouTube short, because if you're looking for answers, then you should probably start with stopping watching those, Boiled down, I don't know. And it's okay that I don't know, I feel like I'm in this period where I'm just like accepting not knowing and ready to just continue to shoot at it. It's not that deep. It is not that deep. And I'm proud of and I like the values and the qualities that I'm beginning to grow into. And I'm just going to keep on growing into them. One day after the next, just see where the sun takes me. I gotta tell you, man, I really gotta tell you, I am truly happy. And I know not everybody can say that. I've got my worries, my stresses, and this and that, but like at the end of the day, when I really slip into bed, I'm at ease. Nothing is pulling me like, it doesn't feel like anything's pulling me to some sort of early grave. Like there's nothing that plagues my mind to the extent which I feel imprisoned or, Oh, man. I just feel like I feel grateful. I feel very, very grateful because I didn't really put myself, I made a few choices here and there, but at the end of the day, like, I had fantastic parents, amazing friends, and just all around a lucky life path. Tons of times where things just could have gone differently. And I don't mean to sound like I'm reminiscing. I know I have a lot of it in front of me, but I, want to make a callback to the beginning of this episode when we just talk about how the biggest, asset is youth. And you think back to how, like, you wish you were how you were, but that's when you were young. You can't be that guy anymore. And it just kind of makes you want to think, well, I am going to be that guy to tomorrow's me. So what does it look like? What does that look like? Talk to yourself about what's going on really. Are you happy? Yes. Why? Well, I'm grateful. Grateful for what? Well, let me tell you. I have a room full of objects that I own. I have a job where I'm important. And I have coworkers that seek to understand me. And I mean, they are some wonderful people for that. Can I just tell you today, I was, for who knows why, I was kind of like pressing, I guess, a bit my younger coworker, because she just, she leaves things a mess sometimes and she works slowly. But so do I, man. And I don't know why I thought that I needed to be saying these things to her and repeating these things to her and being like, come on, like, I just told you to do this. Why didn't you do it? Or like, I said, like, I'm just trying to help you. Like, come on, like, you gotta realize I'm just trying to help you. Like, who did I think that I was? But I'm so grateful that that she was able, it seemed like, to just look past that, because the moment kind of came and went. I stuffed my face with a bunch of tuna and soda and realized that, like, it ain't all that big of a deal. And I honestly, value her more as a person than a coworker. And we, ended up listening to our favorite song at the end of the night, and we got off, and, like, we had a good synergy and clocked out and went home. And, like, I just feel like I'm grateful that, like, she was able to probably somewhere in her mind be like, Jack is tweaking out right now. I'm just going to let it slide. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get that if you don't have that. And I'm so lucky that I've got that. I'm so lucky that I feel like someone cares enough to let something slide, maybe. I don't know what's going on with her mind. I don't know if this is the truth or, like, but it's just like I was able to make a mistake. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I can tell you that, and I can mean it, and I do. It's okay. There's a lot of people out there in a lot of moments right now where they think to themselves, this is not okay. And and it's, if not even myself, I owe it to them to appreciate this, appreciate that right now I'm okay. Because I really do appreciate it. A 3-hour episode coming up. A 3-hour episode coming up. I can't believe it. Really, I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. Somebody that wants to sit down with me for 3 hours. It's amazing. I mean, the people and the conversations and just the relationships and the companionship and like anything at all that just maybe seems like a step away from loneliness is just such a blessing, you know? Such a blessing. Like whatever I can take, whatever is given to me that may just help me be a little bit less alone is just so unbelievably priceless. It is. It is so unbelievably priceless. I cannot tell you how much being alone drains my mind and my body. Oof. This is kind of bad framing, this episode. My head's a little bit too close to the top of the frame, but you can't get it perfect every time. You gotta do it a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and kind of see what sticks. See what sticks. If you'll join me, I'd like to be silent. If you are listening to this, I'd like for you to just sort of think about everything that's been said, and think about your own thoughts while I've been saying them. And you and I can just sit here in silence for a bit, and let that be that. So I'd say I thought about nothing for the majority of that. Kind of almost was starting to fall asleep for a little bit of it. And then right at the end there, I thought that I should say how I'm really excited for this to be over with so I can post it, make the other stuff, post that stuff, and go to bed. For the books, my name is Kadis. It's 3:20 in the morning on May 4th of the year 2025. We are live currently on episode 127 of Keeping It Real, and I am signing off. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you and your time. Peace.